Bedtime with Mrs. Honeybee. Today, in the Honeybee neighborhood, we'll be talking to my dog Harold.
Mrs. Honeybee, are you feeling okay?
Of course, Melody Bee.
Well, you just said that we'll be talking to Harold. And, as far as I know, dogs can't talk.
There was a time I thought I couldn't have a little bee as a BFF. And look at us now, BFFs all these years later. I can't wait until you hear what Harold has to say. All you have to do is close your eyes, get cozy, and listen to the sound of my voice. Mrs. Honeybee will be your guide. Let's begin. You are here, standing at our brightly colored front door, just about to knock. By now, you expect to hear Harold's happy barks approach with his scurrying paws, sometimes too fast, which causes him to bump into the door head first. Today, you can hear the pitter-patter of his feet, but nothing else. Melody Bee joins him on the other side of the door, somewhat concerned at the lack of barks.
Buzz, buzz, buzz.
When the door opens, she asks your opinion on the matter as Harold jumps his front paws up onto your legs for head pets.
You didn't hear Harold bark either, right? I watched him run over to the door like I usually do when you arrive, waiting for him to slide right into it, honestly. But today, I didn't even notice because he was opening his mouth to bark and nothing came out.
You look down at Harold's big, kind eyes, looking lovingly back up at you as his tail wags against the door frame. He looks to be happy and healthy, but barkless. Melody Bee calls for Mr. Honeybee and I as she welcomes you in the house.
Come on in. Mrs. Honeybee? Mr. Honeybee? Harold's bark is broken.
Harold's what is broken?
Did you say paw, Melody Bee?
His paw can't break again. What happened?
Mr. Honeybee and I come down the stairs and are so happy to see you, like we always are. We also see Harold trotting by your side, like we usually do, with his tail wagging, like we usually do. Like both you and Melody Bee, we tilt our heads to the side in unison when we watch Harold open his mouth wide, and only silence comes out. He's running circles around your feet, jumping up and twisting in the air, trying to process all of his excitement at your presence. Each time he does, more and more silence fills the air where his bark should be.
No, Harold's bark broke. Look.
How does a bark break?
Can dogs lose their voices just like we do?
Or maybe it's just broken.
A bark cannot break.
Well, it's certainly not lost. Do you suppose he accidentally set his voice down on a park bench and someone stole it? Do you think someone stole his bark? Is it lost?
It's not lost like that. It's gone. It's hard to explain, I guess. Harold, speak. Speak like I taught you, boy.
Nope, no bark to speak of. I'm sorry, little guy. This is not a time for puns.
If he had his bark, he would have surely howled laughing at that one. Oh, goodness. I'm sorry too, Harold. It's not a time for puns, even if they're flowing. He seems to be feeling fine, though.
That's good. He doesn't seem to be sick or hurt.
Just barkless.
Standing in the kitchen, we think to ourselves how we can help Harold's bark, and if that's even possible. Such a finicky thing a bark is. Wondering this to yourself, take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Feel the coolness of the air coming in through your nose, finding its way down to your lungs and expanding out your chest. Then slowly breathe all the way out through your mouth with an audible ah, to enjoy the sound of your own beautiful voice without ever taking it for granted. Harold, I guess it's safe to assume barks are pretty much like voices. When I lose my voice, I mean, when my voice breaks, I drink plenty of tea with honey. Dear, do you know off the top of your head if it's safe for dogs to have honey?
I think...
The top of my head contains all answers. And yes, it's safe to give dogs small amounts of honey. Start with a 1/4 teaspoon and do not, I repeat, do not exceed 1 teaspoon per day.
Wow, that was even faster than I could type the question out in a browser.
Hi, Roger. Thank you for that information. It's really helpful.
I'll go get a dollop of honey for you, Harold. I'm growing some licorice root in my herb garden. That is also excellent for broken voices. I assume the same goes for barks, right, Roger?
Scanning. Yep, that's right.
I prepare all of us some licorice root tea with a tiny bit of honey fresh from the garden. Harold laps it up from his bowl. We wait and watch to see if the remedy will work, and if so, work immediately. Harold finishes every last drop of the remedy, lifts his snout to bark, opens his mouth, and nothing.
Too bad voice boxes, or I guess bark boxes, aren't like robot vocal settings. I could just adjust them a little bit here and a little bit there, and bam, voice fixed.
Nonsense, Mr. Honeybee. That's exactly how it works.
Roger, remember how I was explaining that non-robots have brains and stuff? Our voices are attached to them in really complex ways. So...
Roger Robot extends his mechanical arm to pat Harold's fluffy ears. He then scratches behind them and activates one of Harold's many tickle spots. Harold's leg starts going as if he's doing a hokey pokey dance, and Roger uses this distraction to subtly separate the fur at the base of Harold's neck for a sleight of hand trick that none of us are able to see the details of. Roger again pats his head and then stands back, proud of himself.
There we go. That should be it.
We watch as Harold saunters over to his fluffy bed in the living room, tired of us fawning over him and his bark. When he curls up, we see that he has a teeny tiny black box hanging off his collar. When Mr. Honeybee bends down to look at it, Harold lifts up his head and lets out the first sound of the day.
Bark, bark, bark.
Whoa.
Harold, did you just say bark?
Instead of barking?
Oh, I guess I did. Ha 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 ha.
See, told you it'd work.
What are you talking about, Roger?
Harold, can you hear yourself? You're talking.
In human English.
I always knew you were able to understand me.
Oh wow, listen to me go.
Harold, you can talk. Say something else. Say something else.
Wanna play fetch with me?
No, because I just want to sit and hear you talk without having to translate from dog.
Yes, of course we can play fetch, Harold.
Yay.
Together, with Harold and his new voice, we walk to the Pupple Park. This isn't just any walk to the park, though. Now, we get to hear all of what we can assume Harold thinks on our regular walks. As we approach his favorite tree, you feel him pulling at the leash like usual. This is the tree he sniffs up and down, the one that we have to all but drag him away from. Now, on this walk, we hear firsthand just how important this tree is.
My tree. There it is. There it is. There it is. My tree.
As always, Harold circles around the tree trunk, sniffing and tying his leash in knots. You follow him around and around, trying to avoid leash tangles. He stops at a particular spot on the trunk and studies it with his nose.
Buster says hi.
You got that from the tree?
Harold tunes us out and continues simply to report what the smells on the trees say.
It might rain later this week.
Really? Let me check the weather. It's so sunny out today. How could it? Wow. There's an 80% chance of rain later this week. How did the tree tell you that?
Harold ignores all of our questions and reports one last thing from the tree.
New friend at the dog park today.
With that last message, Harold happily trots on his way to the dog park, reportedly to meet a new friend. We walk beside him with an amazement that Roger Robot does not share in.
Dogs use trees like humans use the internet. Want to update your family and friends about what you're doing? Post it. Dogs leave their scents behind to let other dogs know things.
Even the weather?
Especially the weather. Think about it. What's the #1 predictor of whether or not you'll go for a walk as a dog?
Besides being extra tired from an extra busy day, I guess it's the weather?
Exactly. All that Harold needs to know about the state of the Honeybee neighborhood is on that tree.
Wow, this is fascinating. Do they know anything about the stock market?
Don't be preposterous, Mr. Honeybee.
My very canine dog now has a human robot voice. This whole thing is preposterous.
Okay, true. Enjoy your preposterousness then.
When we get to the Pupple Park, Harold politely requests that we open the chain link fence for him. Before he rushes in like usual, he pauses, pondering something that seems important. He turns to Roger, full of hope.
Can I have thumbs next?
No thumbs, please, Roger. He gets out enough as it is.
Please, no thumbs. That's the only thing holding him back from taking over completely.
With great power comes great responsibility, Harold. In my professional opinion, you're not quite ready for thumbs yet. You're just too excited.
Fine.
The dogs and the people that create the lovely atmosphere of the Pupple Park fill the air with joy as they laugh and play in the sunshine. Take another slow, deep breath in through your nose. Feel the coolness of the air coming in through your nose and the warmth of the sun on your skin. Then, slowly breathe all the way out through your mouth and join them for a game of fetch. There is, indeed, a new friend at the park today, just like the tree reported. Harold walks up to the fancy poodle with more curls than she knows what to do with and introduces himself.
Hi, I'm Harold. Want to be friends?
The poodle agrees, and they run off to the tree line where a group of kids are climbing. We just cannot believe what we're seeing and hearing. While we're enjoying the sunshine and the fresh air, Roger Robot tries his best to help us understand the technology that makes this possible. We all begin to zone him out like Harold did to us. In all of Roger's infinite knowledge, he is still somewhat unable to take a hint.
There is nothing artificial about my intelligence.
We know, Roger. Well, we don't know, but we trust that you do.
Just lay back and enjoy the feel of the grass and the sunshine on your metal.
If I want to increase my internal temperature, I could do it rather precisely with this dial, right here. No, I like my internal temperature. I will stabilize it in the shade over there. BRB.
TTYL, Roger.
We watch Roger Robot roll away through the grass until he reaches a nearby tree. There, he powers down for a little snooze outdoors. Harold zips across our field of vision, running along the field of tall grass that bends in the wind. He's chasing his new poodle friend and jumping over tree stumps whenever he can. In all of the commotion of his game, he wiggles in such a way as to dislodge his new voice box. It falls to the grass, furiously blinking red and yellow lights in different patterns that signal an alarm.
This is really something. So much so, it's a something that needs a name. This is revolutionary technology for pet families.
What will it be called, my dear?
The Doggy Decipherer, the first ever of its kind.
Now we can always know what Harold's thinking?
And other dogs. This is just a prototype.
We spend the rest of the afternoon aiming the Doggy Decipherer at dogs in the Pupple Park. Beyond loving to play fetch, something we learned from them is how much they love us, their people and loved ones. Before we know it, we hear a familiar bark we've been waiting to hear all day. Harold's bark is fixed and is back, at least for now. Always remember, Mrs. Honeybee believes in you. You are special and you are loved. I can't wait to see you again.